In this video, we'll be installing a left front caliper on this Ford F-150. So we're going to start by removing our wheel. Our wheel's a little bit different here than yours will probably be. We have all locking lug nuts on our wheel. So unfortunately I won't be able to give you a size, but go ahead and take your wheel off. So now we're going to remove our caliper. We have two bolts holding in our caliper. They're going to be 1/2 inch. We'll remove these. So now that we have our last bolt coming out here, we need to be ready to take our caliper and hang it out of the way without doing any stress to the line. You have a section of hard line and then a section of rubber. So we have a hanger ready for when we remove this bolt and pull our caliper away. So that's our two bolts, and we can start to work our caliper away from the pads and the bracket. Now this actually looks like it's stuck in place. So we're going to take a flathead or a small pry bar, see if we can work that caliper off. Now we are replacing the hardware here, so I'm not too concerned about bending that. If you don't have new hardware, don't bend those. Okay, once you have your caliper free, this one a pad came with it. We're going to hang our caliper on our hanger and up by our coil spring. Up and out of the way. So now that we have our caliper accessible here, resting it right on top here, we're going to remove this bolt. Half of this line is a hard line, half is a rubber line, so just be careful about moving it around. The bolt itself is going to be a 9/16. Now at this point, as soon as we break this line free, we're going to have brake fluid coming out of here, so have some kind of drip protection down. Also, try not to get it onto your rotor and pads. So what we're going to do is back this bolt out most of the way and just let that brake fluid drain out for a minute. And while we're letting that happen, we'll get our new caliper ready. So our new caliper here comes with a new banjo bolt and two new crush washers. We'll take those out. Okay, we'll set this caliper aside somewhere close. We'll take our banjo bolt out of our old caliper. Okay, here's our banjo bolt. Now the old crush washer, we can discard that. And the old banjo bolt, we can take our caliper and move that aside. So now we'll set our new caliper in the same place. We're going to take our banjo bolt and one crush washer. Then we're going to grab our brake line, set it with the notch towards the inside of the vehicle, put our banjo bolt through, and put the other crush washer on the backside. And then we can thread this into our new caliper. We'll start it by hand so we don't cross thread it. What I like to do here is just try and push that brake line up against the caliper as much as I can so I know the notch is seating. And we'll tighten it down. So I'm just going to put a rag in here for any brake fluid that drips down. So we're going to snug this up and then we'll torque it down. Okay, so now we're going to torque our banjo bolt to 10 to 15 foot-pounds. So our 2 caliper pin bolts here, we're just going to put a little bit of grease on the threads and up that shank. Not a lot, just a thin coat. A little bit at the end. This will help with a little bit of corrosion protection, as well as minimizing a little noise that may happen from inside there. Once you have your grease on your pins, we can take our new caliper, slide it over our pads, and into place to line up with where our caliper pins go. Now this caliper is brand new. These guide pins here, these rubbers, may need to be pushed in slightly to match up. And you'll know you're lined up if you can't see the back as well. If you can see the brackets in the front from your front pad, that metal bracket lines up with the 2 holes in your caliper. Once you're lined up, we can take our pins, slide them into place, and we can thread them in. All right, so we're going to finger tighten them here. And then we'll torque them down. All right, we're going to torque down our caliper pins here to 141 foot-pounds. We're going to need to take off our bleeder screw cover. Just pull that right off. 1, 2, 3 to the floor. Okay. Feels good. We'll close it up. Again, 1, 2, 3 to the floor. Still see a little air in that line. Close it back up. That's exactly what you want to see. No breaks in the fluid. We can go ahead and close it up. So before we put our cap back on, I like to clean this area with brake clean. Get rid of any residual fluid, and then you'll have a nice dry surface. You can check afterwards to see if you have any leaks. Once you've got that clean and dried off, go ahead and put your cap back on your bleeder screw. So once you've done bleeding your brakes and swapping your caliper, you will have lost some brake fluid. You want to come underneath your hood and check the level of your brake fluid. You want to make sure you're between the minimum and maximum lines. We are well below the maximum. So we're going to return some brake fluid back into the master. Once you've topped off your brake fluid, go ahead and put your cap back on and lock it tight. Okay, now we're going to reinstall our wheel. And for us, put on all of our locking lug nuts. We're going to snug these up in a star pattern. So now with our vehicle on the ground, so our tire can't rotate, we're going to torque down our lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds. We're going to do it in a crisscross pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.